I have a loving relationship that I'm in, but it's a long distance relationship. No, I'm currently married. No, it's with this bourbon right here. Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond. I can't get it in Washington State, and she's all the way from Kentucky. Let's go ahead and review this. Hi, this is Scott, and you are tuned into the Rookie Wine and Whiskey Enthusiast, YouTube's primary channel for Washington State wines and whiskeys and spirits, but not exclusively. And tonight's one of those. And I was kind of joking about having a long-term relationship with a bottle of bourbon. The thing is this is one of my favorite bottles of bourbon from one of my favorite distilleries, and it's only sold in Kentucky. So when I kind of joke about having that long distance relationship with it, it's because it takes me a while to convince people to be able to send me a bottle of this because it's so allocated, even in the state of Kentucky now. It's hard to get out of that state. So that being said, let's go and discuss Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond. Bottled and Bond is a very strict set of rules for American whiskey. First of all, it has to all be grown, harvested, distilled, barreled, all within a single season. Of course, it still has to follow the bourbon rules, as this is a bourbon. It has to be stored for a minimum of 4 years within a government-controlled warehouse. That's where the bottled and bond comes in. I believe it has to be barreled at no higher than 125%, and it cannot be bottled at less than 100% proof, or excuse me, 100 proof. Why did that rule come around? Well, the rule came around because there was a whole bunch of people that were called rectifiers that were really serving grain alcohol with tobacco juice in it and whatnot back in the 1800s and calling it whiskey. So this was one of the ways the federal government, matter of fact, people actually look back and say, hey, this is really the first one of the first food quality laws around. So what makes Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond special? Now, I said Old Bardstown. There is another bottle called Old Bardstown. I believe it sits at about 90 proof. This is the Bottled and Bond. This is the one I prefer. What makes this one special is they sit just 5 minutes from Heaven Hill. Now, Willett really there for many, many years brought in and bought their own bourbon and then stored it in their own rick houses. This Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond really is one of their first bourbons that is their own expression. Now, I believe the first few years it wasn't, but I'm pretty sure this one is. The barrel on this was DSP-KY-78. I can't tell you what that means. I used to be able to, but I know that one of the nice things I like about Willett, and I'll go ahead and post a link to my last Willett review, which was the Willett Family Estate 6-year-old bourbon. These guys are very honest about what they're talking about. So, rumor is, now they don't normally give away their mash bills, but I was doing some internet research, and their mash bill on this is supposed to be 72% corn, 13% rye, and 15% malted barley. So, it should provide some sweetness with a little bit of Willett floral note. So the color on this is a very crisp copper rust color, deep copper, almost actually more of a rust than the copper. Now the legs on it look thick and viscous, which is a good sign. Let's go ahead and take a nose on this. Right off the bat, I'm getting a charred caramel note, toffee, a little bit of black tea, and then what I find is the most striking nose on this Bottled and Bond product, it's almost a medicinal cherry cough syrup note. Now, this is not a complex whiskey by any stretch of the imagination. This is a budget bourbon. When it's sold in the state of Kentucky, it sells from anywhere from $22 to $40 a bottle. Now I'm getting a little bit of kind of a cream note oh, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Creamy, nutty note, almost like a macadamia nut. Let's go ahead and take a sip of this, though. Right off the bat, that nutty, cherry, medicinal note kind of takes over the palate a little bit. It's followed closely by that toasted, not toasted, but charred caramel and toffee note. The downside to a budget bourbon like this is typically the finish ends relatively quickly. Though this does kind of give that extra savory, kind of an extra savory note. Helps extend that finish just a little bit. I got to be careful rating something like this. Let me go ahead and take another sip there. Yeah, now I'm actually getting a little bit of that black tea herbal note. Oh, there's the Kentucky hug right there. Sort of delayed on that one. I got to be careful rating this budget bourbon. Because here's what I got to do is I got to kind of compare it to entry-level bourbons from Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey. I'm talking Wild Turkey 101, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, 1792 Bottled and Bond, Buffalo Trace. Budget bourbons like that. Personally, I like the floral, the tea notes, the macadamia nut creaminess to it, and definitely the medicinal cherry note. I gotta be careful, like I said, I'm kind of a fanboy, as you know. I'm gonna rate this a solid 85 out of 100, and I gotta look at it based on that it's a budget bourbon. This is not really highly complex. So, if I do highly recommend though, if you do have a penchant for looking for budget bourbons, if you make friends in Kentucky, have them try to get you a bottle of this. I do recommend it. I think it's one of those bourbons that could easily be a daily drinker without affecting the budget too badly. So if you can get a hold of it, that is the key. Is you've got to make friends in Kentucky that can ship you this stuff. So that being said, have you had Old Bardstown Bottled and Bond? Let me know what you think about it. Are my tasting notes off? Do you think my tasting notes are spot on? Let me know down in the comments down below. If you want to share this video, make sure you go ahead and share it on your timeline and all your Facebook groups. I do appreciate that. Also, if you do like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps with the whole YouTube algorithms thing, and love to get this out there a little bit more. If you do like this content, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. When you do, a little bell icon is going to pop up there, and go ahead and hit the bell icon. That way, when I do upload these types of videos, when I do it, you'll be notified. So that being said, it's been a long day. I'm going to go ahead and finish this glass. Please, as I always like to say, please drink responsibly, and life is too short for either bad wine or bad whiskey. This is a really good budget bourbon, folks. Bottled and Bond. Cheers. Yeah, that cherry note's pretty pronounced. Later.